تطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله، ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. أفضل الذكر فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله، لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله، لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله، لا إله إلا 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 الله. الله 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 لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله، لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله، لا إله إلا الله سيدنا محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم.
النبي اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله. الفاتحة. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. We are on page 133 in what I just shared, which is called Al-Khulasa for those that are new to it. Compilation of Dhikrs from the Book of Allah, the Sunna of the Messenger, and transmitted from the righteous. Al-Thura al-Salihin. We will be on page 133 as appears on the bottom of the page, not on the PDF that you're in. Or 134 if you're reading transliteration.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام ميم. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. وإلهكم إله واحد لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أقدم إليك بين يدي كل نفس ولمحة ولحظة وخطرة وطرفة يطرف بها أهل السماوات والأرض وكل شيء هو في علمك كائن أو قد كان. أقدم إليك بين يدي ذلك كله. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوه يحاسبكم به الله فيغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. شهد الله أنه لا إله إلا هو والملائكة وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط لا إله إلا هو العزيز الحكيم. وأنا أشهد بما شهد الله به وأشهد الله على ذلك وأستودع الله هذه الشهادة وهي لي عند الله وديعة أسأله حفظها حتى يتوفاني عليها. إن الدين عند الله الإسلام. قل اللهم مالك الملك اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك ما تشاء وتنزع الملك مما تشاء وتعز ما تشاء وتذل ما تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. تولج الليل في النهار وتولج النهار في الليل وتخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي وترزق ما تشاء بغير حساب. رحمن الدنيا والآخرة ورحيمهما تعطي ما تشاء منهما وتمنع ما تشاء. أنت ترحمنا فارحمنا رحمة تغننا بها عن رحمة من سواك. اللهم اقض عنا الدين واغننا من الفقر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
We are on page 145, and the weird is the weird of Sayyidina al-Sheikh Abu Bakr bin Salim. Transliteration is 146. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
اللهم يا عظيم السلطان يا قديم الإحسان يا دائم النعم يا كثير الجود يا واسع العطاء يا خفي اللطف يا جميل السمل يا عليم لا يعجل صل يا ربي على سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم وارض عن صحابته أجمعين. اللهم لك الحمد شكرا ولك المن فضلا وأنت ربنا حقا ونحن عبيدك رقا وأنت لم تزل ذلك أهلا. يا من يسر كل يسير ويا جابر كل كثير ويا صاحب كل فريق ويا مغني كل فقير ويا مقوي كل ضعيف ويا من لنا من كل مخيف. يسر علينا كل عسير فتيسر عسير عليك اليسير. الله يا من لا يحتاج إلى البيان والتفسير حاجاتنا كثير وأنت عالم بها وخبير. اللهم إني أخاف منك وخاف ممن يخاف منك وخاف ممن لا يخاف منك. اللهم بحق من يخاف منك نجنا ممن لا يخاف منك. اللهم بحق سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أحرسنا بعينك التي لا تنام وكنفنا بكنف الذي لا يرام. ارحمنا بقراتك علينا فلا نهلك وأنت ذكرنا ورجاؤنا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومدار كلماته.
اللهم إنا
نسألك زيادة في الدين وبركة في الأمر وصحة في الجسد وسعة في الرزق وتوبة قبل الموت وشهادة إلى الموت ومغفرة بعد الموت وعفوا عند الحساب وأمان من العذاب ونصيبا من الجنة وارزقنا النظر إلى وجهك الكريم. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
عدد خلقي ورضا نفسي وزنة عرشي ومداد كلماتي. Fatiha. Next word is word of Latifa of Imam Abdullah Al-Haddad, page 151. La ilaha illallah for Arabic, 152 for translation. بسم الله
الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
قل أعوذ برب الناس
ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. ربي أعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ بك ربي أن يحضرون. ربي أعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ بك ربي أن يحضرون. ربي أعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ بك ربي أن يحضرون. أفحسبتم أنما خلقناكم عبثا وأنكم إلينا لا ترجعون. فتعالى الله الملك الحق لا إله إلا هو رب العرش الكريم. ومن يعد مع الله إلها آخر لا برهان له به إنما حسابه عند ربه إنه لا يفلح الكافرون. وقل رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. فسبحان الله حين تمسون وحين تصبحون وله الحمد في السماوات والأرض وعشيا وحين تظهرون. يخرج الحي من الميت ويخرج الميت من الحي ويحيي الأرض بعد موتها وكذلك تخرجون. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله للناس لعلهم يتفكرون. والله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم. الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض هو العزيز الحكيم. سلام على نوح في العالمين إنا كذلك نجزي المحسنين إنه من عباد المؤمنين. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. اللهم إني أصبحت في نعمة وستر فأتم نعمتك علي وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إني أصبحت منك في نعمة وعافية وستر فأتم نعمتك علي وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إني أصبحت منك في نعمة وعافية وستر فأتم نعمتك علي وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إني أصبحت أشهدك وأشهد حملة عرشك وملائكتك وجميع خلقك أنك أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك وأن سيدنا محمدا عبدك ورسولك. أشهدك وأشهد حملة عرشك وملائكتك وجميع خلقك أنك أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك وأن سيدنا محمدا عبدك ورسولك. اللهم إني أصبحت أشهدك وأشهد حملة عرشك وملائكتك وجميع خلقك أنك أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك وأن سيدنا محمدا عبدك ورسولك. اللهم إني أصبحت أشهدك وأشهد حملة عرشك وملائكتك وجميع خلقك أنك أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك
وأن سيدنا محمدا عبدك ورسولك.
الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافي مزيدا. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافي مزيدا. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافي مزيدا. آمنت بالله العظيم وكفرت بالجبت والطاغوت واستمسكت بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله السميع العليم. آمنت بالله العظيم وكفرت بالجبت والطاغوت واستمسكت بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله السميع العليم. آمنت بالله العظيم بالجبت والطاغوت واستمسكت بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله السميع العليم. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبسيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم نبيا ورسولا.
رضيت بالله
ربا وبالإسلام دينا وسيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم نبيا ورسولا. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وسيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم نبيا ورسولا. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم.
حسبي الله لا
لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم. 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 اللهم إني أسألك من فجاءة الخير بك من فجاءة الشر. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت خلقتني وأنا عبدك وأنا على عهدك وعدك ما استطعت. أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت. أبوء لك بنعمتك علي وأبوء بذنبي فاغفر لي فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت عليك توكلت وأنت رب العرش العظيم. ما شاء الله كان وما لم يشاء لم يكن ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من شر نفسي ومن شر كل دابة أنت آخذ من ناصيتها إن ربي على صراط مستقيم. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث أصلح لي شأني كله ولا تكلني إلى نفسي ولا إلى أحد من خلقك طرفة عين. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الهم والحزن وأعوذ بك من العجز والكسل وأعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل وأعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال. اللهم إني أسألك العافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة دائما في ديني ودنياي وأهلي ومالي. اللهم استر عوراتي وآمن روعاتي. اللهم احفظني من بين يدي ومن خلفي وعن يميني وعن شمالي ومن فوقي وأعوذ بعظمتك أن أغتال من تحتي. اللهم أنت خلقتني وأنت تهديني وتطعمني وأنت تسقيني وأنت تميتني وأنت تحييني وأنت على كل شيء قدير. أصبحنا على فطرة الإسلام وعلى كلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا مسلما وما كان من المشركين. اللهم بك أصبحنا وبك أمسينا وبك نحيا وبك نموت وعليك نتوكل وإليك النشور. أصبحنا وأصبح الملك لله والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم إني أسألك خير هذا اليوم فتحه ونصره ونوره وبركته وهداه. اللهم إني أسألك خير هذا اليوم وخير ما فيه وخير ما قبله وخير ما بعده. وأعوذ بك من شر هذا اليوم وشر ما فيه وشر ما قبله وشر ما بعده. اللهم ما أصبح بي من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك فلك الحمد ولك الشكر على ذلك. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسي وزنة عرشي ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسي وزنة عرشي ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله العظيم وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسي وزنة عرشي ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله العظيم وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسي وزنة عرشي ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله العظيم وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسي وزنة عرشي ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله عدد ما خلق في السماء. سبحان الله عدد ما خلق في السماء. سبحان الله عدد ما خلق في الأرض. سبحان الله عدد ما بين ذلك. سبحان الله عدد ما هو خالق. الحمد لله عدد ما خلق في السماء. الحمد لله عدد ما خلق في الأرض. الحمد لله عدد ما بين ذلك. الحمد لله عدد ما هو خالق. لا إله إلا الله عدد ما خلق في السماء. لا إله إلا الله عدد ما خلق في الأرض. لا إله إلا الله عدد ما بين ذلك. لا إله إلا الله عدد ما هو خالق. الله أكبر عدد ما خلق في السماء. الله أكبر عدد ما خلق في الأرض. الله أكبر عدد ما بين ذلك. الله أكبر عدد ما هو خالق. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم عدد ما خلق في الأرض. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم عدد ما بين ذلك. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم عدد ما هو خالق. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير عدد كل ذر 1000 مرة. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير عدد كل ذر 1000 مرة. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير عدد كل ذر 1000 مرة. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد مفتاح باب رحمة الله عدد ما في علم الله، صلاة وسلام دائمين بدوام الملك الله، وعلى آله وصحبه عدد كل ذر 1000 مرة. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد مفتاح باب رحمة الله عدد ما في علم الله، صلاة وسلام دائمين بدوام الملك الله، وعلى آله وصحبه عدد كل ذر 1000 مرة. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد مفتاح باب رحمة الله عدد ما في علم الله، صلاة وسلام دائمين بدوام الملك الله، وعلى آله وصحبه عدد كل ذر 1000 مرة في كل لحظة أبدا.
Post another dhikr in this chat before. It's not in all of the copies of Khulasa. It's not in the one that you have as a handout. Inshallah it will be though over time. There's another edition that's being worked on right now. So we'll have an edition. Some of you have downloaded the other Khulasas, they'll be there. What happened? Make this show at least one. اللهم يا كافي البلاء اكفنا البلاء قبل نزوله من السماء. يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله. اللهم يا كافي البلاء اكفنا البلاء قبل نزوله من السماء. يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله. اللهم يا كافي البلاء اكفنا البلاء قبل نزوله من السماء. يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله. وإذا حضرة النبي اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله. الفاتحة. آمين رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، وعلينا معهم وفيهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. نوينا التعلم والتعليم والنفع والانتفاع والتذكير والمذاكرة والإفادة والاستفادة We intend to learn and teach, give and take benefit, remind others, ourselves, remember the Prophet mutually. وَالْحَثَّ عَلَى تَمَسُّكِ بِكِتَابِ اللَّهِ وَبِسُنَّةِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَعَلَى آلِهِ وَصَحْبِهِ وسلم. We intend to urge, to encourage, holding fast to Allah's book and the Sunnah of Allah's Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama. We intend to call to guidance and lead to good. على الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. We intend on all of these things seeking Allah. ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. We intend what the author intends. It was that Imam Al-Haddad rahimahullah, as well as our sheikhs and the pious, and what Allah knows of good intentions. We ask Allah to accept. So we are continuing our readings. We take these books, we should see ourselves as taking them from the author, ideally. So intend receiving counsel in good manners of a traveler, a seeker on their journey to Allah, from the great Imam and reviver, Imam Abdullah Al-Haddad, rahimahullah. Bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم ورضي الله عنكم. Caution against neglecting the Friday prayer and other congregational prayers. Exhortation to perform the regular supererogatory prayers. Strongly beware, O disciple, of leaving the Friday and other congregational prayers, for such is the pattern of the indolent and the mark of the ignorant.
Allahu Akbar. Bismillah. So Imam Haddad, he says, "Wahdar ayyuha al-murid, kull al-hadar." So he says strongly. Dr. Mustafa, Allah preserve him, translated that as strongly beware. You could also say beware to the utmost extent, right? In the strongest possible way, because Imam Haddad says, Kull al-hadar, right? Beware entirely from neglecting the Friday prayer and congregational prayers, meaning the 5 times daily congregational prayers. And also there are sunnahs that are prescribed in congregation, like Eid, Taraweeh, rain prayer, and eclipse prayers. And we have to be better about eclipses. I think we missed the last eclipse, or the last couple of eclipses. So he said, beware entirely about missing congregation. And he says that is from the customs of people that are idle and ignorant. And how does he translate that?
The indolent and the mark of the ignorant.
Yeah, so indolent, probably not a lot, isn't a word a lot of us used. You could also say idle. People of batala, people that have no use. Habib Abdullah bin Hussein bin Tahir said, to pray alone is either kufrun khafi or humqun jali. So to perform salat by yourself is hidden disbelief or manifest stupidity. You look at the same bin Tahir. We just read that with Habib Omar in Jordan. So to pray alone is kufrun khafi or humkun jali. And Allah knows best, taking that from Imam al-Ghazali, who said in the 40 principles that Imam Haddad in his books brought it in the section on following the Sunna, a book of assistance. He said we follow the Sunnah in normal, mundane, habitual activities, adat. And he says, as for neglecting the Sunnah in worship, like here, this Sunnah of congregation, he says, I know no reason to neglect the Sunnah in worship except kufrun khafi or humkun jali, hidden disbelief or manifest stupidity. Why neglect the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and then specifically in his prayer? It's not transmitted from the Prophet ﷺ that he prayed by himself ever. No hadith that would indicate he ever prayed one of the 5 times prayers by himself. So we should strive our utmost, and he said, beware entirely of neglecting the Jama'ah. And our Shaykh, the one who prescribed for us reading this, Hafidhullah, he will say over and over again, if you see a seeker of knowledge who isn't concerned about the first Allahu Akbar with the Imam, wash your hands of him. Over and over again, he said that to us at Dar Mustafa. So not only the Jama'ah, but the first Allahu Akbar with the Jama'ah. And from our Shuyukh, Habib Muhammad al-Haddad, it's transmitted from him that since he was a young man seeking knowledge in Tareem, he became a mufti in 3 years when he was there. And he never missed the opening Allahu Akbar with the Imam from that time until he was an old man. Always caught the congregation. And in addition to that, always caught the first Allahu Akbar with the Imam. Allahu Akbar. Naam. So we should really, really work on the congregation. And La ilaha illallah. Naam. He's going to say something more about the Fajr congregation. Bismillah.
Take care to perform the regular supererogatory prayers before and after the obligatory ones. Persevere the witr and duha prayers, and keeping the interval between the 2 night prayers alive with devotions. Be extremely careful to always keep alive the intervals between the dawn prayer and sunrise, and between the afternoon prayer and sunset, for these are noble times wherein those servants who turn to God receive the flow of his assistance.
Allahu Akbar. Naam. So he said, Hafid. Hafid means what? Hifd is what? Protecting, guarding, persevering, preserving. So if it's hifd and waqt, right? Protect your waqt, your time, guard it, of work, guard it, protect it. So he said, and you could translate as maintain. Maintain the before-after sunnahs, which in their plural are al-rawatib. Al-rawatib. So what are the rawatib? The rawatib that are mu'akkadah, and that's a more emphasized sunnah, are 2 rakas before Fajr, 2 before Dhuhr, and 2 after Dhuhr, 2 after Maghrib, 2 after Isha. That's the Shafi'i position, in its relied upon position with a khilaf, with a difference of opinion in some of them. So those are 10 that are mu'akkadah. And then there are rawatib that are not emphasized as much. And those are 2 more before and after Dhuhr, right? So 4 before Dhuhr and 4 before after Dhuhr, those are all rawatib, just 2 of them are more emphasized than others. And it is a practice of the Imam, as well as our shuyukh, as well as a practice we tend to adopt, is to do 4 before Dhuhr. 4 before Dhuhr, and 4 before Dhuhr with only 1 tashahhud, without a first tashahhud, which is shahud at the end. That comes in a narration as salat as zawal, that's the time the gates of the sky are open, and the Prophet ﷺ said he loved that a pious deed ascend therein. So it's as though the Imam and others were acting on that, combining those hadith. Suhrawardi references that in Awarif for the Ma'arif as well. So 4 before Dhuhr, 2 of them ghayr mu'akkada, 2 of them mu'akkada, 4 after, same, 2 confirmed, 2 less confirmed. Then 4 before Asr that are not mu'akkada, they're not the emphasized, but nonetheless from the rawatib, those you separate with taslim. And that comes explicitly in hadith, that the Prophet ﷺ would divide those with taslim. There are also 2 that are not emphasized before Maghrib, and 2 that are not emphasized before Isha. So that adds to more rawatib. La ilaha illallah. And then he said, and also be persistent in witr. And witr can actually be included from the rawatib. And witr is the most important sunnah prayer to be performed by someone who's making all of their obligatory prayers. So the minimum word should be that we're doing our obligatory prayers. Someone who's missing obligatory prayers, there's no, without an excuse, and the only excuse for them is delaying them, not missing them, right? You can combine them with other prayers in circumstances or shorten them. However, as long as you have your mind intact, unless you go crazy or you're in a coma, you're not allowed to miss the obligatory prayer. Someone who allows you to do that is ignorant. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for missing the obligatory prayer except loss of intellect. As long as your mind's intact, if you're not in a coma, you're not insane, may Allah protect our minds, we are obliged to perform the obligatory prayer. So that's the first wird of prayers that everyone should really, really dedicate themselves to and work on, never missing it, except in the excuses where you can combine it with something else, like when you're traveling and you delay Dhuhr to Asr or Maghrib to Isha. Then someone who's performing their obligatory prayers, and in the last lesson he told us to do that with excellence, completing the obligations, sunnahs, and also inward realities of khushu' and so on, and ikhlas, of surrender to Allah, presence, the reverence and stillness that we should have, and pure intentions. In addition to working on those in our 5 times prayers, a traveler to Allah is known by rushing and striving in good deeds. That's what he said, right? 2 chapters ago. He's distinguished by avoiding sins, or she, by avoiding sins and striving in good deeds. And the Shaykh, our Shaykh, when he takes a covenant in the spiritual path, he says that we should perform obligations and avoid forbidden things, perform sunnahs and avoid offensive things, and avoid doubtful things, and do permissible things with a good intention. Someone who does that, everything they do is an act of obedience. And that's what we should shoot for. So just like we make tawbah from neglect of obligations, we make tawbah from neglect of sunnahs, and from performing makruh, and from doing shubha, doubtful things. And their way is ilm wa amal wa wara. It is a way of knowledge and practice and scrupulousness. So that's leaving shubuhat, right? That's leaving doubtful things. And in wara, they'll leave purely permissible things out of caution about the haram, right? They'll leave purely permissible things, certainly the doubtful, certainly the makruh. And those who neglect sunnahs will be punished by falling into makruh. And we seek refuge in Allah. We just read that with Habib Abdullah bin Hussein bin Tahir. So someone who neglects the sunnahs in danger of falling into makruh. Someone who sees makruh as unimportant is in danger of falling into haram. Someone who sees haram as important, as unimportant, it's not a big deal. It's just it's a minor sin. Someone who just deems haram as insignificant is in danger of a bad ending with the other billah. It's danger of a bad ending. So we should dedicate ourselves to the obligations, sunnahs, etiquettes of the Sharia, avoiding offensive things, and endeavoring to make good intentions in the permissible things we do. So we want to add sunnahs, and these will also increase and improve our performance of sunnahs. La ilaha illallah. So the first sunnah that should be added is al-witr. What is al-witr? It's 1 to 11 rakas after performing Isha, even when you combine it earlier in Maghrib time on a journey. So the cause of it entering is the performance of Isha. Witr enters with the performance of Isha, even when it's combined early. Witr goes out with the rising of the true dawn. There's a qawl of Ibn Mas'ud. It goes out with the performance of the Fajr prayer. Witr is 1 to 11 rakas. The minimum that is considered complete is 3, and it is offensive to always only do 1. So witr should be performed. Imam Haddad references how to perform it in the Book of Assistance. It is excellent to perform it as 3 rakas with Surah Sabbih Ismi Rabbika Al-A'la in the first rakah, Surah Al-Kafirun in the second. In the Shafi'i school, it's better to do taslim after the second rakah, and then in the single rakah, so you pray 2 and 1. That's better in the Shafi'i school, though it is permissible to combine them. La ilaha illallah, and then in the 1 rakah, the last 3 surahs, Surah Al-Ikhlas, Surah Al-Falaq, and Surah An-Nas. It is also transmitted to pray witr with Surah Al-Ikhlas in every rakah. So, for example, someone who's just beginning their witr, or mashallah, it's cold and dark, we feel lazy on some of these nights, pulling ourselves out of bed, want to catch some witr quickly before Fajr comes in. You do wudu fast. You can get up 10-15 minutes before Fajr comes in and pray witr. It would be witr, tahajjud, and all of that. And you could do 3 rakas with 1 taslim at the end. Qul hu Allahu ahad in each rakah. Boom, take you 3 minutes. Add to that some istighfar in it, maybe in sujood. Allahu Akbar, you're min al-mustaghfirin bil ashar. You miss it before Fajr. You could do that before, meaning you miss it before Fajr comes in. You could do it before the Fajr Salat, and it wouldn't be a makeup in the qawl of Ibn Mas'ud, radiyallahu anhu. And if witr is missed, it should be made up, as should all time-specific sunnahs. So that is al-witr. And then the rawatib, and we said the rawatib, the mu'akkada, the most important of those before-after sunnahs is the 2 rakas before Fajr. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, rakat al-fajri khayru min ad-dunya wa ma fiha. The 2 sunnah rakas before Fajr are better than the world and everything in it. So that's the most important of the rawatib. It is sunnah to recite al-kafirun in the first rakah and al-ikhlas in the second. There are also other narrations of what is sunnah from them. Alam nashrah in the first, and alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil in the second. And especially those of us with injuries, it comes in narration. The one who recites alam wa alam in the 2 rakas of Fajr will be protected from elim, from pain on that day. So some of us have some aches and pains, and you could do those as your sunnahs of Fajr. Recite alam nashrah laka sadrak, the first rakah of the sunnahs of Fajr, and alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil, to the end of those 2 surahs, Surah Ash-Sharh and Al-Fil in the 2 sunnahs before Fajr. So the 2 sunnahs of Fajr are the most important of the rawatib, yani of those even numbered rawatib. Then all of the rest of them are of the same level, but the mu'akkada obviously is more important than the ghayr mu'akkada. La ilaha illallah. There's also a merit of having 12 sunnah rakas in a day. Then he said ad-duha. What is ad-duha? The mid-morning prayer. Duha is salat al-rizq. One of our brothers, I believe Ismail, asked about spiritual ways to gain sustenance. Spiritual ways to gain sustenance. Ad-duha is called salat al-rizq, the prayer of sustenance. Ad-duha is called the prayer of sustenance. And ad-duha is a time that's going to begin or just began. Ad-duha is ad-duha is just beginning in a minute or so. Ad-duha is after the sun has risen and elevated the length of a short spear. That's when the duha time enters. and it lasts until Dhuhr comes in, right? So between sun's elevation after it's rising and Dhuhr is at Duha. It is 2 to 8 rakas with a khilaf, placing it up to 12. It is called the prayer of sustenance, and there's an excellent dua to ask for sustenance that can be recited after duha prayer, and it is in the handout that we shared, Al-Khulasa. If you look in the table of contents, there's sections on duas, and also our shuyukh encourage students to have a daily general istikhara that they add to their duha prayer. So like 4 rakas of duha is what students at Dar Mustafa were encouraged to do. If anybody sees me do 2 here, that's because I drink a lot of coffee. I make wudu a lot. I know I'm going to do some more later when I go home and make wudu again. But generally, I'm working on 4 or more. I just do my sunnahs of wudu as part of duha prayer later in the morning. But it's excellent. And what you'll see the dedicated students in Halakat of Dar Mustafa do, which you see Sayyid Habib Omar do, is 4 rakas right away in the beginning of duha time. And that is an excellent practice. La ilaha illallah. And then they say, and we said the prayer of sustenance. So it is said, the learned scholars say, La faqra ma duha wa la ghina ma zina. They say there's no poverty with the duha prayer, and there's no wealth with fornication. That those who fornicate will be poor. And those who, and poverty is more than just monetary poverty. Maybe they'll be impoverished in their soul, which is worse. Never feel like they have enough, feel like there's scarcity even when they have too much. And there's no wealth, there's no poverty with duha. Duha prayer is a powerful, tried and true means to sustenance. And then he advised us to be careful about certain times. So one of them is worship between Maghrib and Isha, giving life with worship to what's between Maghrib and Isha. From that is La ilaha illallah, Quran, or knowledge. That's why some of our gatherings, you see, we place them between Maghrib and Isha. So at least some nights of the week, everybody's giving life to between Maghrib and Isha. La ilaha illallah. Some of them said for someone to poke me in the face, like with something sharp or hot, I would prefer that than worldly talk between Maghrib and Isha. And also this time between Fajr and sunrise, giving life to it. And he's going to mention another benefit of that in a moment. And then also after Asr, and that's why we place readings of the Roha in that time. Those are all blessed times to take advantage of. And in the time between Fajr and sunrise and Asr and Maghrib, the author, Imam, says that Allah pours assistance, amdad, spiritual assistance, and as he's going to say, material support to those that are turning to him of Allah's servants between Fajr and sunrise and Asr and Maghrib. May Allah make us of those servants who are turning to him. And then he's going to mention another benefit of this time.
The time following the dawn prayer, when kept alive, has a powerful and specific effect in attracting material provision, whereas the time following the afternoon prayer, if kept alive, has a powerful effect in attracting provisions for the heart. This has been experienced by the people of clearer vision among the great knowers. A hadith states, "He who sits where he has prayed, remembering God after the dawn prayer and until sunrise, is more likely to receive his provision than he who travels to the horizons."
And that comes in hadith, right? That comes in hadith. La ilaha illallah. I've looked it up before. I don't have it in this print. I have it in one of my other prints. So it comes in hadith that someone who sits in the place where they pray, doing dhikr of Allah after Fajr until sunrise, and he doesn't reference this, but that's what's understood. From Fajr to sunrise, that person will attain sustenance more quickly than someone who travels to the horizons. And it also comes in hadith that there was a campaign, a military campaign. They went out. They didn't really face an enemy, but they got spoils of war. They were able to capture some of the property and come back very quickly. Companion said, we didn't see anyone go out more quickly and come back with easy sustenance than this trip. Right? And the Prophet ﷺ said, somebody who sits and remembers Allah after Fajr was more quick to bring sustenance than those. And it comes in hadith that the Prophet ﷺ came to Sayyidatina Fatima, and she was laying down at that time, and he shook her with his leg and said, stand up and witness the distribution of sustenance. Angels distribute our sustenance at this time. So we should take advantage of this time. If somebody wants to have sustenance, they should use the powerful means of sustenance. The high prayer, thanks to this time, praying to us after that time. Another means of sustenance spiritually is subhanallah, and it comes as salawat of angels and every creature. That is a salawat of every creature. Right? All of the creatures glorify Allah. And that narration, all of the creation was salawat, right? And their salawat is subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanallah al-azim. And then again, this other narration, adding astaghfirullah, and istighfar is a means of sustenance as well. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanallah al-azim, astaghfirullah. And it comes in tradition that is the salawat of everything, and by it they receive sustenance. By it they receive rizq. La ilaha illallah. And these are powerful means that are tried and true of spiritual sustenance. And the Imam says in Book of Assistance, we've been ordered to seek sustenance through worship. Right? By worship, we've been ordered to seek sustenance. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم لا إله إلا الله. And then after Asr, has a strong time of spiritual sustenance, of heart sustenance, and that's why they place readings in books that are heart softening, right? They read tafsir, hadith, tasawwuf at Roha time. Allahu Akbar. So may Allah give us to take advantage of these times. And then, so for you all, you boys, strong dedication to Jumu'ah and Jama'at. Y'all will masbook for Jumu'ah, masbook for Jama'ah. Will be masbook. Be on time. Jumu'ah you miss, you come late. There's an angel at the door of the Jama' writing the names of everyone who comes. Once the khatib starts, khalas, he stops writing. So that's masbook. You miss the first takbir of salah, is masbook. May Allah protect us from being masbook. Miss the Jama'ah itself. La ilaha illallah. When I first went to Dar Mustafa, if you would miss a Jama'ah, they would beat you. The river host, the Indonesians, maybe that was it. Indonesian tarbiyah from the Rabats. MashaAllah. La ilaha illallah. And in Ihya, he says, someone who missed a Jama'ah, they would give them condolences for a week. Condolences. You missed out, man. You missed out. Condolences, they say. ليس المصاب من فارق الأحباب إنما المصاب من حرم الثواب. The one who's been afflicted is not the one, the bereft one is not the one who departs from loved ones. The bereft one is the one who is deprived of reward. And they would do it for 3 days for someone who people missed opening Allahu Akbar for a week if someone missed Jama'ah. So strive in our Jama'at, and then also you all should have Sunnas. First important, most important one to add is witr, 1 to 11 rakats, with 3 being the minimum that's complete. Second, most important is the Sunnah of Fajr. A believer that's concerned with their akhirah should miss those. Even I know shuyukh that have students make up missed prayers. They say don't miss those sunnahs. They're too important to miss, even when you're making up prayers. And then what does one do with the rawatib? One gradually adds them, right? Gradually improves them, gradually lengthens them. And generally with wirds, you set a minimum that you don't allow yourself to fall below. If you fall below it, you make it up. So for example, one might set the minimum in the rawatib. I'm always do 2 sunnahs before the Ramadan. I'm always do the mu'akkada, right? Those 10 that are mu'akkada with witr, I'm always do that. And then they increase when they have more enthusiasm, but they don't fall below that minimum. When they fall below the minimum, they make it up, and that's a means of disciplining our soul. So these type of sunnahs, if you were to try to, if someone does no sunnahs and they'd add all of these, they'll probably last a day. They might even not last a day. So one gradually adds, and then when one's nafs, one's lower self becomes accustomed to it, then one increases. And a sign of being accustomed is you're really disappointed about missing it. Right? You're disappointed about missing it. Because the nafs has a quality that it doesn't like to break the things it has habituated. So it habituates always eating at a certain time, sleeping at a certain time, praying a certain amount, dhikr a certain amount. When it habituates that, it will become accustomed to that, and it will not like to depart from that habit. So a good habit, that's a good thing. So you'll find the nafs you'll be really perturbed about missing those sunnahs when they become a practice. And when the nafs becomes calm and tranquil about a level of sunnahs, then at that point you can increase them. Inshallah ta'ala. May Allah grant us that. Another benefit, another way to help yourself with this is add some rewards. Add some rewards. So like, let's say someone likes dessert. They like apple crisp, for example. Play nafs, you can't have apple crisp in the evening, but mom cooks it until you've done witr. Right? So you connect types of reward to the works that you are going to perform. That is a way to help discipline the soul. And as we mentioned, we have some audio interference. We mentioned that before. I'm sorry about that. I don't know the cause of it, and we're exploring it. And Allah knows best. It could even have a spiritual cause or devils of mankind and jinn. We're definitely having some tampering from them in other ways, as we've stated. So we're encouraging our brothers and sisters, also anyone who has a Twitter account, or now called X, to help us promote that platform, because we're getting shadow banning, or you could say suppression, censorship on some other platforms. You could probably guess which, but I won't say them. So help us with that. Make a lot of dua for us. Allah protect us from devils of mankind and jinn. And khairan lutfan afiyah. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Fatiha.